Hey everybody, welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 615, being recorded on February 10, 2021. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Stroomberg.
And you can sign up to be notified when we go live for events like our weekly podcast recording session by going to pcper.com/subscribe and be put onto our mailing list. And Brett, I'm sure you sent one out today. You always do.
I try.
Some sort of a note that teases what's coming at 10 o'clock. We'll do it for other things too. That's a threat.
Some of this is a surprise to me even, so
yeah,
there's that.
We often put as much as 5 to 10 minutes of preparation behind this show every week. And you can help support that sterling effort by going to patreon.com/PCPer and becoming one of our patrons, a patron of the PC Perspective Arts. Do we have any news on that front?
You know that we do. I'd like to welcome and thank Thomas Stancombe. That's seemingly an English name, I'd say. But anyway, thanks very much for signing up and throwing a few dollars in the bucket, the PC Per Performance Art bucket. Really appreciate that. And I'd like to re-welcome Callum Oswell, who had some difficulties getting through the sign-up process and getting the Discord environment. Welcome. Glad you fought and got through and are now one of our patrons. So thank you very much to both of you guys. Really appreciate it. Again, sign up over at patreon.com/PCPer if you want to support whatever we have going on here. So really appreciate it. Thanks very much. Without that, can't have this happening. Oh, also, if anybody logs in there, already a patron, logs in there, change their name, and I get the email and I see it, I'll read probably whatever it says out on the air.
Most of the time, yeah. If you just want to insult one of us and use,
that's fine.
Moderately offensive language, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's even the best possible thing.
Sometimes, like, vaguely offensive language.
Overtly offensive language.
Yeah.
Well, with our housekeeping out of the way, it's time to immediately shift focus to Laramie, Wyoming, where roving reporter Josh Walrath is on the scene of yet another gut bomb.
The gut bomb was very much a gut bomb today, but instead of fries, I did have a salad because I felt like eating slightly healthier. And yeah, when you get starches with that much meat, it tends to, wreak havoc with older individuals such as myself. Doesn't make any sense, does it? I don't act that way, do I?
We suffer through it.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, the burger, I originally ordered what was kind of more of a usual, the naughty. But what they gave me was not really the naughty. The naughty has bacon, lots of jalapenos, and all that, but this one is slightly different. It still is comprised of 2 4-ounce patties, but there was vegetable matter in there. Had American cheese, spicy barbecue sauce, lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and pickles, and it gave it a more classic flavor, but still with a little bit of bite. American cheese, even though it is just a processed cheese product, it's got a time and a place. And this was the time, and that most certainly was the place. So, I don't know what it was called. I'm not sure what exactly all I ate, but it was still good.
And that was a moment of silence.
Josh's digestive system.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed about the fries, though. I mean, good on you for the
through.
salad, but yeah.
Yeah. The fries, though, are so good. They're really good. Hand-cut fries, just perfectly done most of the time, and got a little seasoning on it. And yeah. But yeah, Thousand Island dressing, nice salad.
Breaking news. New Intel CPUs not necessarily compatible with previous motherboards. Can you tell us more? Whoever wants to talk about that.
I'll do it.
We should have a soundboard, for breaking news. Or maybe we could just do that.
Tonight on. Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, I think well, I was recording. We were recording that. We could just use that.
Oh, well, we could just use that then. So basically, Intel previously said that, hey, all those previous 400 series boards that you guys all have out there in real life land, next generation CPU is for you. And then recently they just said, oops, our bad, B460 and H410 chipsets are not going to be Rocket Lake homes. So no on that. And that was recently released on their support site to say their 11th gen CPUs would not have BIOS updates to support their latest gen CPUs, unfortunately. So you're going to have a later I guess, what is it, a 470 and the Z490 chipsets with the latest BIOS updates from your favorite motherboard vendor of choice before you can socket in your latest 11th gen CPU. Does it have something to do with the VRMs? We don't know. They weren't really specific. Is it because the old boards didn't support Wi-Fi 6? We don't know. They really weren't very specific. However, they do appreciate the fact that you bought one of the old boards, and if you're an Intel fan, please line up to buy a new board, and they would really appreciate that.
That'd be
But we didn't change the socket this time.
No, it is still the 1200 socket, so that's going to be great. And these CPUs, again, just in case people weren't paying attention, they're supposed to be here Q2 2021, but it's looking like probably early March. So be on the lookout for that. If you're an Intel fan guy or girl, the improvements in IPC should be pretty reasonable. They look like they're going to give AMD a run for the money. But get on a newer board. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not sure if PCIe 4.0 is going to be supported on all of the older chipsets, but at least it looks like Z490 is going to be supporting PCIe 4.0.
That was a
this is
motherboard specific thing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a vendor specific thing. And I did make a note in the news item that there are sometimes motherboard vendors that go a little bit off the reservation. And what I mean by that is they may end up supporting the 11th gen on some of their lower end boards, whether Intel likes it or not, because they're just like that. They just might do it. They've done it.
So is this marketing and MBA guys who are making promises but not consulting engineers, and then suddenly the engineers come back and are like, yeah, no, this ain't gonna fly? Or is it just, would it take more engineering to just get this done right? Because it seems like since like the Z77 series, chipsets on through now where we're at 490 going on 590.
Yeah.
So many. It always seems like they've kind of got this problem. I mean, they just keep jumping sockets, and if they didn't jump sockets, then they're jumping VRM specs, and they're just not being able to deliver a whole lot to their customers other than like, you want a new CPU? You got to get a new motherboard. That's just the way it is. We can't be bothered with any kind of backwards compatibility. I mean, AMD had a hard time with some of their fans when, they said, "Hey, we don't have enough space in our firmware chips that we can support every single processor that has ever fit in an AM4 socket." But if you look at the entire stretch of CPUs that still work in AM4, it's really impressive. And maybe they've been forced to do that because they are second fiddle to Intel in terms of market share. And so they can't really afford to alienate their core user base by making them buy a new motherboard each time they want a CPU upgrade.
Or is it just better planning? They did say from the beginning that they were going to stick with it for some number of years and generations.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. I mean, is it as Francois says, the Excel file MBA guys are making all the big decisions and the shots, and they're not sufficiently talking to engineers, or are they just trying to push as many features as possible into each new CPU that they just won't work with older chipsets?
Well, we know the 11th gen is going to draw some serious wattage. We know that. But we also know that some of the motherboard vendors were robust enough in their VRM capacity in some of the lower entry boards that they'd be safe in supplying it. So I expect to see maybe a few rogue motherboard suppliers might kick out a BIOS. maybe.
Maybe.
Look, Intel users typically pay more for their CPUs, I would say, on the enthusiast side of things. So if you've already got the money for a high-end Core i9, who cares if you have to buy a new motherboard? Except
But it was all of them.
$200. What's $200? What's
well, what's
$250?
$700 for like a Maximus 12, whatever the highest end Asus
Hey,
board is?
I did just read that some of those entry-level boards were on 22 nanometer. The chipsets were.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how long ago was that for Intel?
That's not
Like
that long ago because
5
they started
years?
producing chipsets on 22 nanometer again later.
Okay,
Like
that was it.
14 nanometer.
Yes, I
issues.
thought there was something where they had to go back to
Yeah,
a
so
previously
that's
larger
nothing
process node.
And really, for a chipset, what difference does 22?
N
make?
plus one, yeah. I
don't-
mean, that's
yeah.
the chipsets have always been that way. I mean, it's only really until AMD has done the X570 that they required, 14, 12 nanometer, and mainly because the 570 is just the memory I/O controller for Horizon, so it makes sense to do it there anyway. But it is interesting
And-
that, like Phison and those SSD controller guys, they are forced now to go to a much smaller geometry and power consumption because let me tell you that I did test the Sabrent Rocket Plus and a USB 3.0, 3.1 or whatever version that is, the My Digital SSD M.2 to USB 3. And that thing got hot. I could barely even touch the metal case of that stinking USB drive. Well, yeah, converter. So yeah, even still, that flash must have been so happy being so toasty because it was hot.
Hey, some flash
Anyway.
likes it hot.
Yep.
Doesn't seem to affect it that much. But those controllers, they start to throttle over a certain
Yeah.
temperature. Hey, speaking of SSDs, I see on my list here that we're going to mention Western Digital's shiny black D50. I don't know if you remember this from CES time frame, but Western Digital has this new external enclosure that kind of looks like an Intel NUC, but it's just storage. Tell me more, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting little project or product because inside you've got their SN730 NVMe drive, either 1 or 2 terabyte depending on how you like it, and it hooks up to your PC via Thunderbolt 3. You'll get essentially all of the speed that you'd expect from an M.2 of this generation. Sort of in testing, reads and writes are hair over 2,500 megabytes a second. So, for an external enclosure, that's kind of nifty. But what made it more interesting is the sheer amount of outputs it's got on it. So if you're watching the video, you can see it there. There's 3 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A's, another pair of Type C's, and a DisplayPort 1.4 output, along with audio. So GitGrow didn't really do a lot of the testing, but the idea is that it's, inches away from being a media server, as well as just a portable drive. And for the most part, you could install the games on this thing and wander off. The reads are more than enough to handle whatever you're going to be pushing through. And it comes with a pretty interesting suite of software, which gives you ideas how long you've got left in your flash, like how healthy is it, spaces, real-time performance, being able to update your firmware, the ability to control your RGBs, because, it says gaming on it, so it has to have some RGBs.
Oh, right.
So if you don't want to, it'll hook up to your motherboard, but if you don't want it to, you can do that on your own. So it's interesting. It gives you so much more than just okay, I've got an M.2 like Josh was playing with his Sabrent, so I've got just really fast external storage, and it sort of goes a step beyond that to give you a little bit more fun and flexibility, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Now, of course, the fun thing is that because it is so fancy, it's running you about $600, $700 for the 2 terabyte.
Whoa.
That's pretty pricey.
Yeah, the 1 terabyte's just around $5. So you're definitely paying for the really fancy enclosure, the lights, the little bit of extra controllers and stuff. But it sounded lovely until I was like, okay, so how much each extra chair are you charging? Like half again? And okay, at that price, it's kind of a bit of a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
Jeremy, who is this for?
People that have a Thunderbolt port and want to use it. Obviously.
Wait, so for Mac users and very high-end motherboard users?
But why do
Yes.
they call it a game dock then? I mean, is it just for you? Okay,
Because
you're
it's
loading
got
it up.
RGBs.
Uh-oh. All right, well, I'm spent.
But no, in theory, you could also do a pass-through to a DisplayPort output. So you could sort of plug it into a laptop, and it'll sort of function a little bit like a dock. But
Yeah, many Mac users typically use this, or laptop users. But are they really? I mean, game?
here's my $500 laptop and my $800 dock. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sense of this.
Well, with that active cooling, you wouldn't have to worry about what Josh was experiencing, where your drive gets really hot.
True.
This is
Oh.
cooling your drive. Isn't that worth $500 to you?
Isn't that 40 millimeter fan your favorite size of fan?
It's
based
a
upon
great
your lever?
fan.
Apparently, it's not bad.
They-
Apparently, they did a decent job on the audio on it. So you've got that going for you.
if they spend
But yeah,
so-
until I hit the price, it sounded like a good idea. When I hit the price, no, I don't think so.
Wait, what is that US? Let's look at Western Digital in...
Guys,
Oh, that was
BH Photo
that was
was what it
cookie
said.
stand.
Because
I don't think so.
Cookie stand dollars.
The
not unless BH Photo redid it on me, because I love sites that just automatically reprice things and don't tell you that they did it, even though you're desperately trying to find a specific price.
That price included VAT. So let's look at
That was B&H Photo, and it doesn't say...
USB flash drives, I guess. I just want to see what their price is. Well, these are USB drives, straight up. Okay. Let's look at solid state drives.
Shot Western Digital. And of course, it's immediately going to send me to Canada.
Okay, let's see.
Hey.
Oh, it's $500 for the 1 terabyte.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you.
No.
Yeah, and you have to have a Thunderbolt
Oh,
3 port.
In Canada, we've got a special one. There's a 0 terabyte for $440. It literally just says 0 terabyte.
And they're talking about the fact that you can link up your laptop screen, all that stuff, but that's just like Thunderbolt pass-through. So you're paying. I would say there is at least $100 to $200 just in the Thunderbolt dock part. So this is like
absolutely.
a laptop dock. So that's $200 to $300.
Just these docks are, especially Thunderbolt docks, are pushing $300.
Yeah,
Just because
I wasn't really
of their
thinking about it as being
chipset.
like a port replicator type thing, because you get an Ethernet port, you get display port, you get high speed.
Well,
USB.
not as many. Let me tell you, it's not as many ports as you do get off of a dedicated Thunderbolt port sharing external dock charging
Yeah.
environment kind of thing.
Anyway, yeah.
But for the same price, you get RGB. So there's that. Yeah,
And your dock doesn't usually have 2 terabytes of local storage.
very true.
true. And it does look like a miniature shipping container. So that's pretty good.
It looks like a computer, but it just has the storage in it and a fan. It also has a fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you patched your Chromium yet, Jeremy? That's our next
Oh, yeah,
story.
I did. Because that was pretty nasty.
What's nasty?
Well, I mean, just opening Edge for one thing.
Oh. I like
so this
French,
is...
fine.
Yes, this is that's the one you got to worry about. So anything that's Chromium based, which is, almost everything but Firefox, there is a fairly nasty heat buffer overflow that they're not telling us much about, other than the fact that it was patched, or the patches were released on Friday, at least for Chrome and for Credge. So if you play around with extra browsers, like, for instance, the Brave browser, or if you've been playing with Vivaldi, definitely check that you've done an upgrade to it, because those ones don't necessarily get open so often and don't necessarily get the patch that you really want, which will end with a .150. If you look in the version, which works in just about every one of their browsers. It'll probably be, I'd guess, around 2 months or so before they're actually going to give us the details on exactly what it was. but as of last week, they were seeing it being actively exploited. So it's not just a good idea to patch. Now, this is a good old 0-day that's actually out there and chewing on things. Or you could just go back to IE.
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. I just noticed I've got a Chrome patch to apply. I just noticed. I just checked.
See?
Just
Aren't you glad I
ignore.
told
Click
you?
ignore. It's fine.
All right. Yeah. I'm
the
just
worst that happen?
dismiss that. I don't need.
Yeah,
that.
who cares?
Whatever.
All right. I know that you were super excited to talk about this, Brett. AMD.
I don't know about super excited.
You were soaked. I could hear it in your voice. DLSS obviously is only on NVIDIA platforms, right? Well, what if AMD had a competitor? Now, obviously, they already have Radeon image sharpening, and they, you can do scaling and sharpening on AMD, and it's not the same because it's not doing any kind of AI-powered enhancement, but you are able to run it lower internal resolutions and then sharpen the upscaled image on your monitor and do GPU-based scaling, which looks really nice. Plus, they have integer graphics on AMD cards too. But having said all that, AMD's DLSS challenger FidelityFX Super Resolution. What is the acronym here? Is it R? LSS? Is it RDSS?
We definitely talked about this before, but it's really important to have a catchy acronym for your tool, your utility. And I think AMD is going to go with FSR. And I think that's going to catch on.
It needs to be like FSSR.
X. No,
That's just a little bit. That's a little bit too
hard to say and everything.
It does need to be hard to pronounce. It's too easy. FSR?
Yep. FXSR. Get that X in there and mess your...
FXSR? I guess maybe.
Yep.
I guess that
See,
could
it's
be
hard
good.
to say.
Yeah, it is. It does make you slow down and hitch up over the X.
XXXR.
No, that's the triple X version.
That's a specific add-on.
Yeah, it's... Talk about your deep learning.
I'm still sad that Intel no longer has SX and behind any of their chips.
True.
Let's bring that back. Let's bring back the
16-bit bus.
900 SX. I don't know.
Wasn't that what it was? What Brett just said? Wasn't it?
Yes.
Denoted the
Yes, it was.
16-bit version. So there was a 46
That's correct.
SX, and then there was the
Yeah.
DX.
No, it was not.
SX.
They were full 32-bit chips, but the SX
they were.
had a 16-bit bus, a 286 bus that it ran on.
Yeah.
And then later with the 486, the SX didn't have like floating point integrated.
I'm
in,
pretty
but the
sure
DX did.
that when we talked about it back then, we actually inserted the letter U between those two letters, and it spelled
sucks. Yeah,
that was
No.
the 486 SXs weren't too bad, but 386 SXs they were something.
They were not
Dogs.
the best, but they're fine if you're playing really
Yeah,
old
I mean,
DOS
I
games.
existed on a 386 SX 16 megahertz for quite a few years in my college years, and it got me through.
And then did
that
Falcon
machine have a
3.0
turbo
came
button?
out.
Did it have the turbo?
Didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
a turbo butt on that one. No, my
that's
first
right,
computer did, which was an 8088 knockoff. It was an NEC V20 or something. Was running it at like 10 megahertz, and regular ran at 6 or 7. But hit that turbo button, 10 megahertz, man.
Yeah, not 4.77.
As long as it lasted.
10. Yep.
To sync up all your video games. Hey, this FSR thing.
Yeah, what were we talking about? AMD.
I have no idea.
They're going to be
DLSS
making
like
something out of this.
upscaling.
Yeah, remember
stuff.
DLSS version 1.0 and version 2 share about as much in common as in their name. That's pretty much it. Like, other than it has AI processing in it. Remember, DLSS 1.0 was based upon an individual mapping using their deep learning at home. Essentially, the game developer submitted it to NVIDIA, and NVIDIA sort of pre-computed everything and built an individualistic AI mapping in order to do resolution independent upscaling and recomposition from lower resolutions. They built an individual AI map for that. DLSS 2.0 did away with all that. And they have a much better tuned but universal AI mapping for recomputing missing pixels, given a general AI mechanism for doing that. And it's pretty good, but it's instituted in the driver. AMD's is designed to be outside of that, so it's not actually part of the driver. So it's using Microsoft's ML, their standard way of implementing machine learning right in Windows. So it's going to be much easier for game developers to sort of get attached to the way AMD is doing things. And it's not like they need dedicated hardware for doing the mathematical computations. I mean, it's not... NVIDIA's is good because they're doing a different variant of doing temporal anti-aliasing, essentially, because they're doing predictive vectors, NVIDIA, and they're using their tensor cores to, I believe it's tensor cores, if I get the name right, for handling that. The way that AMD is going to be doing this is not necessarily the same, but the end result is going to be similar in that they're able to upscale lower resolutions to higher resolutions with temporal artifacts removed and a resharpening filter. In fact, they're showing that. One of the links that I put in there for you is Radeon Boost. It's actually already doing it. And when their new version of FidelityFX and FSR come out, this Radeon Boost thing is going to be vastly improved. That's that one that says we'll also update Radeon Boost. That link right there shows side by side kind of what it looks like, 4K with and without their Radeon Boost, and how much quicker, how many more frames they can pump out. I mean, basically, both of these engines are doing something very similar. They're feeding less data to their processing systems in an attempt to up frame rates. It's no more of a trick than that, is give the GPUs less to do with less data to chew on, fewer pixels, and out pops more frame rates, or more frames on the other end. That's the trick. And it's how to do it without really losing image fidelity or sharpness, in the case of fast movements and temporal aliasing.
And we're talking about doing that on the consoles too, aren't they?
Well, that's, yes, exactly. They're definitely going to bring that to the consoles as well. Again, this is not going to necessarily take a driver update. So it's a little bit lighter than the way NVIDIA has been doing it, in that it's not as intensely connected to the game. They have been, and it's going to be kind of done outside of that. Oh, there you go. So that's full res. It looks pretty promising.
I mean, sure, but it's all going to come down to developer support, right?
And the catchy name. I'm not kidding about the catchy name.
No, hey, there's a reason that people are paid quite a bit of money to work on things like corporate branding and brand names for products. You get a great brand name.
AMD should hire one.
I don't know. I think FSR is going to catch on. I think that's going to be the name.
We're going to pause right here for a word from our first podcast sponsor this week.
RemoteHQ makes working together remotely easy by essentially replicating online all the ways people work together physically. The system allows you to build up your own rooms or workspaces, customized each meeting with apps and layouts as you see fit. Members can work on documents or websites in real time, sharing control and making changes on screen simultaneously. It's incredibly flexible for every group's unique needs and very engaging for the participants. In fact, at the end of a session, you can leave everything in place, save it, and pick up right where you left off when everyone attends the next session. Smart and a real-time saver. RemoteHQ has security built in. And with so many security breaches going on today, get your remote working team together on a platform that's doing security and privacy right. RemoteHQ is HIPAA, PCI, and SOC 2 compliant and uses encryption throughout all communications, which even includes data at rest. RemoteHQ is even GDPR compliant. Finally, within their locked and secure virtual rooms, only whitelisted authenticated users can access them, as compared to other password-only based systems where those passwords can easily be shared. Create your virtual office now with RemoteHQ. No software to download, 5 minutes to get up and running by creating your workspace and inviting your team via email links. Head over to remotehq.co/PCPer. That's .co/PCPer for a free trial. When you're ready to launch your rooms, use offer code PCPer for 3 free months. That's remotehq.co/PCPer.
Moving on. Epic Game Store continues their love of exclusivity. Please, Jeremy. I know this is hard to believe for all of us, but...
Yes.
I mean, especially since they give so many good games away.
I'm gasping
in
in Spanish
They
right
give
now.
some games away. I'm not going to lie.
Spoiler alert, they're going to keep doing that.
Something or other. But
Yeah, awesome.
I got Star Wars Squadrons and Battlefield off of them fairly recently. Not all their games are crap that they give away. But we already knew that Darkest Dungeon 2, Chivalry 2, and a couple of others were definitely going to be exclusive to Epic. As in, you can only get them at Epic for a certain time. They also mentioned that a few of them are sort of going to be exclusive, which in this case means not on Steam. Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Quarantine, because they're Ubisoft, so you can put it on your other favorite game purchasing and management software, unless you need to put it on Origin or Uplay or Good Old Games or Steam, or it's getting as shattered as the TV industry. It used to be that Netflix was wonderful. You get it, you got everything, and now you need your Craves and your Amazons and your Disneys and your Hulus and your everything else, and so you end up having to subscribe to a whole bunch of others. And the good news is that they're still not charging anything. You just have to sign up for an Epic account, and they're talking, although they're not giving away a lot of what they're going to be releasing. They say that over the coming year they're going to be releasing more than are available on the platform at this moment. And there's a fair amount available, so you can expect to see a whole bunch coming out. It's annoying in that I don't like exclusivity. It's not new. It's something they've been doing. It's something Ubisoft did. It's, the only reason Steam was known for doing it is because they were exclusively the only one going. But now, of course, they haven't really tried doing it. So we'll see just how the industry deals with this fragmentation and people having to jump between all these different clients. And then, some are saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going to wait for a year. It'll be available on other platforms that I like and that do things like Good Old Games on Steam, where you can link the accounts and push the games back and forth without an issue whatsoever. So
isn't that equivalent to Epic making the problem and then going, and here, we've solved it. Here's a GOG client.
Kinda. So mildly annoying is sort of my take on it.
Apple's VR glasses are coming.
Someday.
Still.
It's just like Santa Claus. Someday.
Okay, where are there pictures? Whoa, okay. I hope this is not what they actually look like.
I hope so.
That's probably not what they're going to look like.
That's not Apple. That's just not.
That's not as Apple-esque as regular.
It's high fashion, to be sure, but
and their edges are beveled.
True, but am I seeing any chamfered edges here? Not really.
No, I mean they wouldn't put those
they're not
vents.
properly chamfered.
Those vents wouldn't be there. I see a little plastic flashing. That's not like them.
Oh,
but I mean, what exactly is it going to look like? Yes, the replacement, whatever the M2 will be, but the part that really has me questioning what the hell they're thinking is that each screen is going to be 8K.
8K.
8K is what they are saying. One for each eye. The pixel density on that is physically challenging, I'm going to go with. I'm not quite sure how the hell they're going to pull that off, or if it's going to be 8K in quotation marks and be, something different. But regardless, I mean, it's going to have a nicely high pixel count, so you're not going to worry about screen dooring, but you better hope that M.2 or the M2 is powerful enough to keep it going, because lag has a very nasty side effect in VR. One that neither you nor anyone near you enjoys. It's also, because today is a day for prices that make you go hum, looking at about $3,000 for the initial ones.
I mean, can you really put a price on a life-changing experience like that?
I mean, why
Microsoft
take them off?
Yeah, I mean,
their HoloLens about that.
You will not be able to take them off. You heard it here first. They're an ocular implant. That's why they can do 8K in each eye. They harness the
How
power
much was
of
the
human
original
brain.
Mac? It was about $3,000, wasn't it?
$24.99.
Yeah.
Yep.
About $3,000-ish. I mean, you had to have a hard drive to it.
No, you didn't have to have a hard drive. You could swap disks over and over and over from the single
was fun.
1.5-inch floppy.
That was very painful.
And then click your single button mouse.
You could buy an
We
external
enjoyed it.
floppy, an external serial floppy, and then later they had those 20 gigabyte hard drives, or 20 megabyte
Yes,
hard drives, sorry, 20
The
megabyte.
stack.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They would sit on top of it.
Yes. So this leads to the question of what the hell is it going to be? These Apple glasses. We've seen nothing about app support, and if there's one thing that Apple lives and breathes on, it's app support.
Well, after Steve had allowed it. And
Yes.
They've got to be made with tantalum, high quality tantalum capacitors. That's why they're so
Absolutely.
expensive.
I've also heard micro LEDs, which sounds even more insane if the resolution's anywhere
No,
near
that's just
8K.
insane.
It's all too insane. But harnessing the power of Apple's revolutionary M1 processor, I'm sure 8K, 60 frames per second or higher is just, it's nothing.
The power of
Apple
imagination.
tends-
No, that was a
Apple
different
tends
company.
to build custom silicon for some of their wearables, like their headsets, their in-ear
watch.
headphones, their watch. They tend to build entirely custom, never-before-seen SoCs for when they come out with a brand new device. So that's probably going to be true for these. We'll see some sort of, I don't even know what to call it, Apple thing.
Flip your Switch to Android 10. Just don't tell Nintendo, says Jeremy Hellstrom.
Yep, and back it up, because this will wipe your Switch, strangely enough. I mean,
can you
loading
go
a custom
back?
ROM in.
Can you go back?
Can't you,
I mean-
can't you pull the flash out first?
Yeah, that's what you're doing, so I'm
Internal
thinking
flash.
that... No, there's an SD card in it.
Right, but is the ROM that you're writing, are you altering the ROM, or are you writing just to the SD card and it loads?
As I understand, you're altering the ROM. And you have to make a choice. Do you like it docked or undocked?
Wait,
because
you can't
they've
have
actually
both?
Well, you can't if you go with the version that supports the docking, which doesn't actually support as many Android apps as the tablet mode, where it doesn't really function with a dock whatsoever. It's almost like, Nintendo is trying to stop people from enjoying doing this sort of thing, which, of course, we know that they would never do. And so, the tablet is just like, boom, it's your old Android GUI, everything you'd expect. But the one that's built for the docks is actually based on Android TV. So you lose some of the stuff, you gain others. And you, of course, if you're using it docked quite frequently, that's the way to go. So you get a lot of choices here if you really feel like doing it. And it's been a while. Apparently the last one was 8.1. So the guys that were testing this said, yeah, it's responds significantly faster compared to the old one. But again, yeah, if it was made after July 2018, Nintendo patched the USB rescued mode exploit you need to be able to do this. And there's no going back from that one.
We're going to break for yet another podcast sponsor. 2 of 2. ExpressVPN.
Hey, you know what's not fair? The fact that Netflix hides thousands of shows based on your location, and that has a nerve to increase their prices even further. That's right, starting at the end of this month, they're raising prices once again. Now you could just cancel your subscription or protest, or you could be a bit smarter about it and make sure you get more for your full money's worth by using ExpressVPN like I have. See, you might not know what's on Netflix in your country is completely different from what someone in the UK or Japan has on theirs. By using ExpressVPN, you could control which country Netflix thinks you are in. ExpressVPN has over 90 countries to choose from, so if you're running out of stuff to watch, just switch over to another country and unlock new shows only available there. Recently I was watching an older show called Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, and if you're familiar with the author Douglas Adams, you might know the show. It's not currently on US Netflix, but with just one tap of a button, ExpressVPN lets me change my location to the UK, and I can watch it. Very nice. ExpressVPN is also super fast, works on your phone, laptop, Mac or PC, and even smart TVs, so you can watch your shows on the biggest screen with zero buffering. Be smart, stop paying full price for streaming services and getting access to less than their full content library. Get more for your money at expressvpn.com/PCPer. Use our link to get 3 extra months free. expressvpn.com/PCPer to learn more.
Our last news story, CD Projekt Red. Now, they've had a great year. People, fans
no denying.
and critics alike can't get enough of CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk is the most critically acclaimed game of all time. It lived up to the hype. It has been a perfect experience, a masterpiece.
Great launch.
If Kent were on the podcast right now,
Perfect.
he would say, yes, I agree. It is
True.
a masterpiece.
Perfect execution.
I've put another 100 hours into it just in the last week alone.
In the last week.
Good for him. and he loves the game, and it doesn't crash for him. He's got
No, it's
that
fine.
magical combination of software versions and stuff. Anyway,
Just the right touch on the mouse.
I'm going to steal this from Graham. He's got great material in the YouTube chat this week. CyberPunked. They got CyberPunked. They got CyberPwned.
Well, that was today.
We're not talking about Epic anymore, but they did get epically pwned.
They did.
They've had source code stolen, allegedly, including The Witcher 3, an alternate version of The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk 2077, and of course, far more importantly, what is the card game? Gwent?
Gwent.
Which they released
Gwent.
already. That source
It's
code is
already
out,
been-
guys.
You know what? The first
And
thing we're gonna
nobody
release is
cares.
source code to Gwent. Yeah, you got it.
Download it 5 times.
You know what? I have to say, I admire their response. Despite them getting super pwned on all this, they really got out in front of it and said, you know what? We're not going to take your, threat, and we're going to go, whatever. Do whatever you need to do because we're not having it, and we're not paying, and so what? We'll take the hit, and we'll get in front of it. So I
And while
admire
you're doing it, we've got a side quest for you.
yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, you know what? The only danger that I can really see, they say no personal information, was taken or anything. So, but what if there is? I mean, with the source code for Cyberpunk 2077, which I assume there's probably more than 14 people playing, more than at a local game in Michigan. There's probably more than that playing the game. What if there is a problem in the source code that illuminates a possible way to hack the game or networked versions of the game? I think that'll be interesting. I think they would be a little bit concerned about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you'd be concerned in general if your internal servers were hacked and all of your source code from your
No, man,
two biggest
they
games.
got over
stolen.
that. They got over that. They said,
You're like, you can have it. We couldn't figure out the source code ourselves. Maybe this community can create a better version of the game.
well, the hackers did say, we're going to show everybody what kind of crap you guys made. I can't
Right.
think that was their play. And they're like, yeah, go ahead and do it. Hey,
Swiftly
that
moving
is-
along.
That's a nice photograph.
Thank you.
How
It's
did you do
abstract. I just kind of set the camera on a tripod and hit continuous shot until I got the one I wanted.
Nice.
Pro tip, if you're ever photographing RGB stuff, put your camera on burst mode. That way, when you actually go into Lightroom and look at the pictures, you're like, that one's kind of purple. I don't like that. I like red. Oh, yeah. Because I have like these lights back here just on a permanent cycle. So I get to pick what background color is in the finished photos because I'm too lazy to set up a mini PC running IQ to control the lighting myself.
So how many 1,500 pictures did you actually take?
Oh, only like 20 per shot. And you kind of look at them in Lightroom like, oh, that one has kind of a purple background. That one's got a green background. I'll use that one. So, for instance, this photo has kind of a reddish-purple background going on.
Oh,
Plus,
yes.
the mic itself is on like a color cycle unless you're running Ingenuity software. We're talking about the HyperX QuadCast S USB gaming microphone. Now, this differentiates itself from the standard QuadCast, which Brett is currently using. I'll switch over to camera 2 here. You can see that red one. Now, the red one and this one, they're the same internally. It's the same mic elements.
It
That
is.
one just has a red light when you're on air, which makes sense, like in a studio. And this one has customizable RGB multi-zone lighting. So obviously that's a lot fancier. And otherwise,
I was going to
it's the
say
same.
that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's
It
pretty much
just
the
looks
same.
more upscale.
It's nicer looking. I mean, the only thing that's different is the lighting. It's the same frames, the same shock mounts, the same stand adapter, which is great. They did change one other thing though. There is a
Wait, the shock mounts are-
USB-C cord.
Oh.
Are
Are the shock,
are
are the shock mounts black or gray in that picture?
They're gray, so they're no longer red. So it's a neutral gray. It's a blank canvas for your RGB lighting personalization needs.
If
whatever.
this was an Apple product, how would it be described?
something chamfered edges, user. I don't know. We don't have to make everything about Apple.
I think you were onto something.
And look at this picture here. As you can see, it still has that great tap to mute feature, which is also the lighting on off, like literally when you tap it and you're muted, the light goes out. And if you see that the light's on, crap, I'm on the air. They heard what I just said. So that's all you need to know. And then use Ingenuity software to have better control over everything. As you can see here, polar pattern, it shows you which polar pattern you're in. It also lets you adjust mic volume, mic monitoring, which you cannot do without the software, and headphone volume. And I've always thought the HyperX, or the QuadCast, had kind of quiet monitoring. The live monitoring is very low. I like to hear it at pretty much full volume so I know if there's something in the background that other people can hear. But that's adjustable. It defaults to 70%. I could have been turning it up all this time, but I wasn't running Ingenuity software. And of course, you can adjust all the lighting. But here's the thing. Ingenuity software, you have to get it from the Microsoft Store.
No.
And it's the only place it's available. The old versions of it that I found, they do not work with the newer hardware.
1.75 stars. That
people are salty. They don't like to be forced to use the Windows Store, and I don't either. And that's why I've never used the Ingenuity software for this microphone until I had to do this review. I'm like, well, I have to use the software. I have to adjust stuff. And honestly,
and you're using the mic now, right? That's the one you're on right
it's
now.
the microphone that you're hearing. So this is the real review. Don't look at my horribly messy hair that I didn't wash today. Look at the microphone itself, and hear the microphone. You can hear the microphone. Of course, by the time you hear this in the finished version of the video, I will have applied compression, and live viewers heard it without any compression. But I mean, we've been using these mics. I've been using a QuadCast mic for 2 years. Brett's been using one for the last, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months on the podcast. So
at least. Huh.
At least. Maybe even 11 months.
I think so. So the live version is the only place that you will hear it get really breathy. That's the only place. Otherwise, it's just going to be just EQ'd right out.
I'll leave you with the full uncropped version of that lead photo. The HyperX QuadCast S in action, says the photo here. Caption.
Your caption really has a sense of movement to it.
It does. I mean, I try to evoke a sense of
Look at that negative
excitement.
space.
Yeah.
I know.
True.
His composition is almost surreal.
Quite simply, the QuadCast S is a very high-quality USB mic that is equally suited for gaming, streaming, podcasting, and work-from-home use. If you don't fancy the RGB effects, you can get the same sound from the non-S model, but you can't go wrong with either one, says Sebastian Peak in this glowing review. But you know what? I did not give it a rating because I couldn't find the rating in our back end, which is an unrelated issue that I will talk to Brett about off the air.
Oh. They're actually they're in a convenient way to access them, but
Is there? Well, convenient for you. Not convenient for me. I'm like, where's the rating? I can't find the rating.
I probably sent a note.
I
that.
don't
I think
pay attention to your memos.
I know.
All right,
just
We
like
have
the
memos.
It's just like the real Office.
yeah.
What memo?
Did you get that TPS report I sent? No.
You know what? I'm gonna have to. We have a new cover sheet for your weekly activity reports. I'm gonna have you redo the last month's worth of activity reports with our new cover sheet. That'd be
Josh,
Yeah.
we're going to move on to picks of the week. And you have one here. Is it the Newegg Shuffle?
Did I already do that?
You did it last
did.
week, but hey, it's a good thing to remind people.
You got to remind people of it because they're not tweeting it out, but it was active for most of this, I think, Monday, Tuesday, and today. And it had pretty good stuff on there. I mean, AMD processors are now getting more solid availability. GPUs are still kind of rough. 3070s are now, up there in price, 669 at the lowest. But they had individual 3070s. And, of course, they had the 6800s going for like $1,100 a piece. I don't know why AMD GPUs are so expensive. I mean, are they better at hashing out coins or
AMD
just their
CPUs or GPUs?
No.
GPUs?
No, actually.
No.
That's so
Maybe
strange.
the smart
that
access
they're
memory
so
helps.
expensive. I don't know. I no.
Josh, actually, that was the thing I was going to ask. What's the mega hash rate on that 3070? I just want to check on that.
I have no
Personal
idea.
note.
What's the
don't-
giga?
I
What's the
have
giga
not.
hash rating of that 5600X?
I have no idea.
Or is it in? Is
Why
it
do you
in
ask me these things? Like, have I
kilahashes?
ever
What's the hash
talked
rate?
about
Look, Josh, you're always talking like hash rate this and hash rate that.
hash?
He is. I know.
Those were hash browns.
Doge.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it was breakfast. That was it.
But yeah, they've had these every day so far this week, and good products. And I've known some people who have contacted me. Are like, hey, I won, and I got the chance to buy whatever. And so yeah, that's going to be your best chance of. If you really want one of these things, get in the lottery. I don't know what the chances are. I don't know how much product they're shipping, but they're giving regular people, gamers, a chance to actually get this stuff. So if you want to do it that way, then give it a go.
Or just
And then the one thing, AMD CPUs are MSRP on shuffle.
yeah. See, you're not
Eric
overpaying. You're
on,
paying. You are paying for shipping though.
Yeah, but who
tax.
cares? It's MSRP.
Well,
You're not getting a discount, but you're certainly not getting inflated.
I feel like if I'm winning something, I want to win something. I got the email. I won a 5600X. Yeah, as in I won the right to buy one at full price plus
Yeah.
shipping and sales tax. I don't
Yes.
feel like a winner anymore.
Hey, you know what? It's
Let's-
better than going on there at 6 o'clock in the morning and hitting F5, refresh, add to cart,
Josh,
and it
only
doesn't go.
chumps do that. You just need to join media and then contact AMD and have them send you stuff.
Yeah.
Whoa, they're sending us
That's
stuff
what you
again?
need to do.
Yeah, we got a 5800 and 5900X this week.
Oh, did you get it in?
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you actually get them?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
brand new shiny sealed boxes? Just
That's
waiting for our
interesting.
review needs.
Put it in
Yeah,
that godlike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
really.
No, thank you. Had so many freaking issues with that thing. Tried to update the BIOS again using the USB stick, and I got the famous BIOS error, which I don't know. It was an AMD specific version of the board before the retail boards came out, and I've
I
had
thought
two of these.
I thought you
things
got
now.
that sent.
No,
I
don't
thought
know.
you got that
They
replaced.
never asked me to send it back. They just sent me another one, so I've got two.
Oh.
And it was working. Maybe I found the wrong one. I need to make sure I have them both side by side and say, wait
Put
a
a
minute.
big mark on it.
Yeah, I need to put
No.
void on the first one with white out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Where are we? Okay. Check out the Newegg Shuffle. You can win the right to buy things that otherwise you would not be able to buy. Jeremy,
It's the new American way.
the new American way. Jeremy, please. Your
But,
pick.
so someone asked, what if Skyrim, but 1406 Bohemia? And I stumbled upon it because Good Old Games sent out an email saying Kingdom Come Deliverance is 70% off right now, as is all of its DLCs. So altogether, for about $15, you pick it up. It's surprisingly enjoyable for, being a poor peasant that doesn't know what the hell to do and is being chased by an army that's ransacking his entire country, but starts out by burning his village down. But you can turn everything up to Ultra, where it literally warns you, and this game came out about 2 years ago. And it's on CryEngine, to just give you an idea what they can do with it if you're not watching the trailer right now. So you can crank this up to the Ultra settings, and it pops up saying, warning, this is for future hardware only. So I did this, and my 6800 XT is barely managing 70 frames a second in most times. If you're inside of a village where it has to deal with a lot of the characters moving around and the AI and the faces on it are impressive. Like, not as impressive as what we saw released today with those two images of faces from which company was that? Was it CryEngine as well? The real life faces. Yeah, give me a second and I'll look it up. But no, I was pleasantly surprised by just how gorgeous it is and how interesting it is. And the combat system is significantly more complex than Skyrim, but you're still, able to use swords, bows, crossbows. You might be able to attack from the back of a horse, but let's just say this peasant ain't too familiar with riding horses at this point. He's barely learned which end of the sword you're holding.
These
So it's quite
minimum
fun.
specs don't look that challenging, but like you said, it's the ultra high setting, right?
And see the HD texture pack? That also seems to have a significant effect.
Okay.
And you crank the draw distance up to obscene. And no, it is certainly doing a number on the system, and looks like it does too. It is quite pretty. No magic. You're literally 1406, and the king had just died and left his wastrel son. It's a common story back in the Middle Ages. And so his brother over in Hungary decided, this would be a damn good time to just invade and take everything over. So yeah, if you got 15
I've got
bucks,
that in my Epic. I
more than
think
worth.
I got it for free somewhere, but I still haven't
It's
downloaded
worth a
and
poke.
played it. Yeah, I've heard good things.
I'd heard almost nothing until I saw it, and now I'm like, yeah, I should tell people this.
Hey, speaking of hearing good things, Brett's pick is audio related, right, Brett?
It is audio related, and you know what? Who doesn't like big sound in a compact space? I know I do. So my pick was this Yamaha soundbar at a very reasonable price, I might add. It looks to be about 20% off the regular price, and it's got a lot of features. Bluetooth, a subwoofer, as it were. It's got audio return channel on an HDMI connection. It comes with a remote. It's got capabilities of being wall mounted. It's perfect for desktop. It's perfect for wireless use underneath your television. And it's only $149. Plus, and an optical digital delivery system. And like I said, audio return channel, in case you guys don't know what that means you can connect it to your TV and control the volume independently. You don't have to search for the soundbar remote. You could potentially use the remote for your television.
This is a super
Which is
distorted
a nice
picture
idea.
here. That does not even look like an HDMI port, but that has to be. It's
It
just
is.
all
It
squished
is.
in there.
It is. It's freaking totally squished. I don't know what the problem is with that
It's
particular
distorted
picture.
photo, but hey, as
Yeah.
somebody who's owned a Yamaha soundbar and thinks that they sound very, very good for their size,
It is.
I'm interested.
Yes.
$149 and free
95.
shipping on all offers $49 and up. Does this qualify?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, it
and,
does.
And stuff from OWC ships fast. I mean, I know I'm in Michigan and they're in Chicago area somewhere.
In fact,
I get the stuff
I think
the
just
next
because
day.
you've talked about it, maybe wanting one, I think it's on the way to your place maybe already.
Oh, you shouldn't have. Thank you. A late birthday present.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Compact design,
welcome.
big sound. ARC is nice because the one I have is just optical in and RCA's. It's older. This would let you have
So as
that
you could see-
return channel from the TV.
Optical in, which is full digital. Obviously, there are external
Really?
backs.
Is optical digital a digital format, Brett?
It is. It is. Just pointing that out. Optical, digital is a digital format.
But it's
But it
limited.
also has-
But in multi-channel, it's limited to like 192 kilohertz, and
It's true.
192 kilobit, right, for a 5.1. I don't remember the actual limitation. You can't do full uncompressed beyond 2 channels, so you have to have the HDMI for that.
Simulated surround. So even though it's a sound bar, it does a simulated surround sound. It does have a standard, mini like headphone style connection for speaker input if you really wanted to drive it that way, and Bluetooth. So it's pretty convertible.
I like how someone in the chat's like, "Who are soundbars for?" It's Dave.
Certainly.
Let's see. How about
Lots of
99% of everybody in
Yeah.
the U.S. in the world? There
Nah.
are people like me who have big speakers in my living room and a separate dedicated amplifier. But for
Yes.
most people, they just want a soundbar because it's a little bit better than their TV speakers.
Well, it's
Well, I
also good for a
guess.
computer system. It's if just put it underneath your monitors as well. You don't think so?
Oh, wait. By monitor, do you mean iMac, Brett?
No, I don't.
They really make a fashion statement and provide modestly better sound than the tinny crap that came in my Apple device.
That is totally true, but I can't hear you over the sounds of chamfered corners.
It's true.
Yeah.
Edges.
Well, the hell are you doing to them?
Chamfering them.
And here's another
Chamfering
reason-
the F out of them.
Yeah. Here's another reason why I bloody hate 1,000,001 freaking game vendors. As people in the chat had pointed out, check your Epic game library. You already had it. Yep. I didn't check every single game platform I had, and I already actually owned sort of the same
$15
thing.
well spent. Yeah.
Well, I got all the extras. The Epic gave away the base game. I've got it like a dozen add-ins. Isn't it wonderful not knowing if you own something or not? It's here somewhere, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
And with that, we've reached the end of another exciting edition of the PC Perspective podcast. Tune in again next week, as we will in all likelihood return for another one of these things that you've just listened to or watched, or both. Maybe you watched and listened to it at the same time using the power of YouTube.com or the YouTube app. Another fine Google product, and we love Google. We just want them to know that.
Yeah, and not cut us off.